They laughed at human pilots until their ships started exploding. Lieutenant Kate Reeves stood at the observation deck of Starpoint Alpha, watching as the sleek alien ships glided effortlessly through space. Their movements were perfect, mathematically, precise and eerily beautiful. Not a single wasted motion. Not a single human hand at their controls. Kate sighed and pressed her palm against the cold glass. 6 months stationed on this coalition command station, and she still felt like a relic. A curiosity. A primitive specimen kept around for alien amusement. Admiring superior technology, Lieutenant? The voice came from behind her, smooth and slightly musical. Kate didn't need to turn to know it was High Admiral Zixlar. The tall, blue-skinned Verlaxian commanded Starpoint Alpha, and never missed an opportunity to remind humans of their place in the galactic hierarchy. Admiring different technology, Admiral, Kate replied, keeping her voice neutral. She had learned to hide her frustration during these exchanges. Zixlar moved beside her, his 7-foot frame towering over her. Different. An interesting choice of words, like saying a stone wheel is merely different from a gravity drive. Sometimes a wheel works when a gravity drive fails, Kate said. The alien made a trilling sound that passed for laughter among his kind. Your species' attachment to manual control is fascinating. The Coalition eliminated pilot error 3 centuries ago. Our ship AIs calculate optimal trajectories with perfect precision. Kate bit her tongue. She had heard this speech many times since Earth joined the Galactic Coalition in 2157. 17 advanced alien species had welcomed humanity with a mixture of curiosity and condescension. Humans were the new kids, quaint, backward, and stubbornly attached to outdated ideas like human pilots. Admiral Daniels requests your presence at the command center, Kate said, changing the subject. Admiral Frank Daniels led the human delegation on Starpoint Alpha, fighting an uphill battle for respect. Ah, yes. Another petition to include human pilots in Coalition patrol squadrons, I presume? Zixlar's face tentacles curled in amusement. Your Admiral is persistent, if nothing else. Kate watched the alien glide away, his steps so light he barely seemed to touch the floor. The Verlaxians had evolved in low gravity and moved within human grace. Like everything else about the Coalition races, their natural abilities made humans seem clumsy and primitive by comparison. Don't let him get to you. Kate turned to see Sam Carter approaching. The human engineer had been stationed on Alpha for almost a year, working to integrate Earth technology with Coalition systems. I'm fine, Kate said. Just tired of being the galaxy's pet monkey. Sam looked around and lowered his voice. Walk with me to the mess hall. There's something you should see. They made their way through the station's curved corridors. Aliens of various species nodded politely as they passed. Not hostile, Kate thought, just condescending, like adults humoring children. In the relatively private corner of the mostly empty mess hall, Sam pulled out a small data pad. I've been studying the Coalition's ship AI systems, he said quietly. Specifically, their navigation protocols. Kate raised an eyebrow. Should you be doing that? Probably not. But I noticed something. Sam activated the pad, showing a complex series of flight patterns. Look at these patrol routes from the last 3 months. Kate studied the patterns. At first glance, they seemed random. But as she watched the simulations play out, she began to see it. They're repeating. Exactly, Sam said. Different routes but the same underlying algorithms. Their randomization isn't truly random. It follows precise mathematical patterns. Which means they're predictable, Kate said, understanding dawning, too. Anyone who studies them long enough, yes. Sam turned off the pad. I tried bringing it up with the Coalition's tech division. They dismissed my concerns, said their systems were too complex for human understanding. Kate frowned. Have you told Admiral Daniels? He's meeting with Zixlar about it now. That's the real reason for their meeting today. Sam looked troubled. The problem is, I don't think the Coalition will listen until something goes wrong. As if on cue, a piercing alarm blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed along the corridors. What's happening? Kate asked as crew members of various species rushed past them. A voice echoed over the station's communication system. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Kate and Sam ran toward the command center. The station's curved corridors were filled with rushing crew members, some barking orders in their native languages, while translation devices struggled to keep up. They arrived at the command center to find chaos. The massive holographic display in the center of the room showed 3 coalition patrol vessels, their signals blinking out one by one. "Report," Zixlar demanded, his normally musical voice sharp with tension. A Dracorian officer, reptilian and precise, responded. 3 ships lost in Sector 7. No distress calls, no debris detected. They simply disappeared. "Impossible," Zixlar said. "Nothing can approach a coalition vessel without detection." Admiral Daniels caught sight of Kate and Sam. "Lieutenant Reeves, Mr. Carter, join us." They approached the command table where senior officers gathered around the holographic display. "Play. Back the sensor logs," Daniels ordered. The display shifted, showing the final moments of the patrol. 3 coalition ships moved in perfect formation through empty space. Then, without warning, they simply vanished from the sensors. "No enemy ships detected?" Kate asked. "None," the Dracorian officer replied. "Our sensor arrays would have detected any approach." Sam stepped forward hesitantly. "Unless they knew exactly where your sensors wouldn't be looking." All eyes turned to him. "Explain," Zixlar demanded. "Your patrol routes follow predictable patterns," Sam said. "Your ship's sensor sweeps are synchronized with those patterns. If someone studied them long enough, they could predict exactly when and where gaps in your sensor coverage would appear." A heavy silence fell over the command center. "Impossible," a Zindari officer said dismissively. "Our algorithms are too complex for any organic mind to decode, but not too complex for another AI," Kate pointed out. Admiral Daniels nodded. "We've been trying to tell you. Standardized protocols create standardized vulnerabilities." Zixlar's face tentacles quivered, a sign of agitation among his species. "You suggest this attack was possible because our ships are too predictable?" "Human pilots don't follow perfect patterns," Kate said. "We make small adjustments based on instinct. We change course for no logical reason sometimes. We're unpredictable." "Inefficient," the Zindari officer corrected. Before anyone could respond, another alarm sounded. The holographic display shifted to show a new alert. 2 more ships lost in Sector 9, the Dracorian officer reported, his scaled face showing rare emotion. Zixlar turned to Admiral Daniels. "It seems we may need to discuss your proposal about human pilots after all." Kate and Sam exchanged glances. No one was laughing at human pilots now. But as Kate looked at the blinking alerts representing lost ships and crews, she took no satisfaction in being right. Whatever was hunting coalition ships was just getting started, and humanity's supposedly primitive ways might be the only thing that could stop it. They laughed at human pilots until their ships started exploding. 3 months had passed since the first attack. 17 coalition ships destroyed. Hundreds of crew members lost. No survivors. No warnings. The enemy struck without being detected and vanished without a trace. The alien races of the coalition had named them the Void Ghosts. Kate Reeves stood once again in the command center of Starpoint Alpha, but everything had changed. The easy confidence of the coalition officers was gone, replaced by tense faces and worried whispers. Even High Admiral Zixlar seemed diminished, his usual fluid movements now stiff with stress. "Another patrol lost," a Dracorian officer reported. "Sector 12 near the mining colony on Proxima 2. Admiral Daniels turned to Zixlar. "That's the 3rd attack this week." Zixlar's face tentacles hung limp, a sign of deep distress. "Our best tactical AIs cannot find a solution. The enemy somehow anticipates every move our ships make." Kate exchanged glances with Sam, who had been working non-stop analyzing data from the attacks. They had both noticed what no one else seemed willing to admit. Admiral Daniels finally said it aloud. "You've all seen the data. Every ship lost has been fully AI controlled. Not a single human-piloted vessel has been targeted. Silence fell over the command center. Many alien officers shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps because your ships are too few and too outdated to be worth targeting, suggested a Zindari scientist. Or perhaps, Sam said, stepping forward with his datapad, because human pilots don't follow predictable patterns. The Coalition War Council had been called to address the growing crisis. Representatives from all 17 species sat around a large circular table. For the first time, humans were not seated at the edges. We must consider all possibilities, Zixler announced, including those that challenge our assumptions. Kate watched as Sam presented his findings. The young engineer had spent months compiling evidence, and now he displayed it confidently before the most powerful leaders in the galaxy. The enemy is using our own logic against us, Sam explained. They've analyzed the decision trees of Coalition AI systems and can predict ship movements with 98.7% accuracy. Impossible, muttered several aliens. The evidence is clear, Sam continued. The attack patterns perfectly exploit gaps in sensor coverage created by standardized patrol algorithms. Admiral Daniels stood up. Which is why we propose a new approach. We want to create a special squadron of human-piloted ships. The room erupted in objections. Human reflexes are too slow, shouted a Dracorian commander. Your technology is centuries behind ours, argued a Verlaxian diplomat. Zixlar raised his hands for silence. We have little choice. Our current tactics are failing. We must try something different. A reptilian Dracorian officer named Commander Nex rose to his feet. If we must study this human approach, then let us do so properly. I volunteer to learn these primitive techniques. Several other alien officers joined him, though most looked skeptical. Kate found herself appointed as chief instructor for the unlikely group. The Coalition had provided a training room with flight simulators modified to allow manual control. The first lesson of human piloting, Kate told her students the next day, is that there is no single correct path. Commander Nex, towering over her with his scaled body, snorted in disbelief. There is always an optimal solution. For machines, yes, Kate replied, but humans introduce variables that cannot be calculated. She activated the simulator, showing a basic evasive maneuver performed by an AI. This is how your systems evade. Perfect efficiency, minimal energy expenditure, mathematically optimal. Then she showed the same scenario with a human pilot. This is how we evade. The flight path was erratic, with sudden changes in speed and direction that made no logical sense. This is inefficient, Nex objected. The human ship used 42% more fuel and took 17% longer to reach its destination. Yes, Kate agreed. But would you have been able to predict its exact path? The alien officers stared at the display, silent for once. True randomness cannot be predicted, Kate explained. And humans, for all our flaws, are surprisingly good at being random. Meanwhile, Sam worked in the technical division, exploring the enemy's attack methods. One evening he found Kate in the mess hall. I've found something, he said quietly, sliding into the seat across from her. The Void Ghosts aren't random attackers. They're testing us. Kate leaned forward. What do you mean? I've analyzed all attack sites. They're probing Coalition defenses systematically. This isn't random terror, it's reconnaissance. For what? A larger attack, I think, Sam said grimly. And I found something else. Traces of technology that match Coalition designs. Kate stared at him. You're saying someone inside the Coalition might be involved? Sam glanced around nervously. We need to tell Admiral Daniels, but carefully. We don't know who we can trust. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed in the corridors as crew members ran to their stations. Kate and Sam rushed to the command center. The holographic display showed a desperate situation. The mining colony on Proxima 2 was under attack. 5 Coalition defense ships had already been destroyed. The colony has 4,000 civilians, Zixlar said, his voice tense. The nearest Coalition fleet is 3 days away. Kate stepped forward. Let me take a squad. Human pilots only. All eyes turned to her. Your ships are outdated, Nex argued. But unpredictable, Kate countered. And right now, that's our only advantage. Admiral Daniels nodded. Lieutenant Reeves has my full support. After a moment of hesitation, Zixlar gave his approval. Very well. But understand, Lieutenant, if you fail, the colony will be lost. Kate nodded grimly. I need 6 ships, Earth vessels with coalition weapon systems. You shall have them, Zixlar said. And may your human unpredictability prove as valuable as you claim. As Kate left to assemble her team, she caught a glimpse of Sam's worried face. They both knew this mission was more than a rescue attempt. It was humanity's chance to prove their worth to the coalition, and perhaps their only opportunity to discover who was really behind the attacks. For the first time since joining the coalition, human pilots weren't being laughed at. But as Kate hurried to prepare for the mission, she wondered if their uniquely human approach would be enough to stop the mysterious enemy that had the entire galaxy trembling in fear. They laughed at human pilots until their ship started exploding. Kate moved quickly through the station, sending urgent messages to her chosen pilots. She needed the best Earth had to offer on Starpoint Alpha. Within an hour, 5 pilots had assembled in the briefing room. Joe Martinez was first to arrive. The veteran pilot had 20 years of experience and a calm that never broke even in the worst situations. Next came Lisa Wong, known for her calculating mind and perfect memory. Ryan Peters joined them, famous for flying in ways that made no sense, but somehow always worked. Maria Garcia arrived fourth, her steady hands legendary among the human fleet. Last was Alan Cooper, the youngest of the group but a natural talent who flew on instinct. The situation is simple, Kate told them, showing the holographic display of Proxima 2. The mining colony is under attack. 5 coalition ships are already destroyed. 4,000 civilians need evacuation. Coalition ships? Joe asked, his weathered face serious. All AI controlled? Kate nodded. As usual, the enemy knew exactly where and when to strike. What are we flying? Lisa asked. Earth fighters with coalition weapons, Kate said. Not as fancy as what the aliens use, but responsive to human touch. Ryan studied the display with a small smile. So they're finally admitting they need us? They're desperate, Kate corrected. Admiral Zixlar approved this mission because he has no other options. Maria looked at each of them. We'll be outnumbered. Yes, Kate agreed, but they won't be able to predict us. Alan, barely 25 years old, spoke up. What's the plan? Kate activated a simulation showing their approach. We fly in formation until we're detected. Then we break pattern and each fly our own way. No coordination. No logical patterns, pure human chaos. The pilots nodded, understanding immediately what Kate meant. They had all felt the frustration of serving in a coalition that saw their skills as outdated. Now they would show what those skills were worth. One more thing, Kate said. Sam believes these attacks might be coming from inside the coalition. We don't know who to trust, so we keep our communications private, human channels only. The atmosphere in the room grew tense. We launch in 30 minutes, Kate concluded. Get ready. As the pilots prepared, Admiral Daniels and Sam came to see them off. Daniels looked concerned. This is a dangerous mission, Lieutenant, he said to Kate privately. The coalition is watching. The future of human participation depends on your success. No pressure, Kate said with a small smile. Sam pulled her aside. I've been analyzing the attack patterns. There's something odd about them. What do you mean? They're too perfect, Sam explained. Like they were designed to expose coalition weaknesses without causing maximum damage. Kate frowned. Someone's testing the coalition's defenses? Exactly, Sam said. Be careful out there. Whatever you find might be more important than anyone realizes. Kate joined her team in the launch bay. 6 small Earth fighters waited, newly equipped with coalition weapons. The ships looked plain compared to the sleek alien vessels, but Kate felt a surge of pride. These simple ships, piloted by human hands, might succeed where advanced technology had failed. Time to show them what humans can do, she told her team. One by one, The fighters launched from Starpoint Alpha. Kate felt the familiar rush as her ship accelerated into space. After months of being sidelined, she was flying again. The controls responded to her touch, the ship becoming an extension of her body in a way no AI-controlled vessel ever could. The 6 human ships flew in tight formation toward Proxima 2. The journey would take 4 hours at maximum speed. Remember, your training, Kate told her pilots. Once we engage, fly unpredictably. Don't follow patterns, don't even follow your own instincts all the time. Sometimes do the wrong thing deliberately. The wrong thing? Alan asked, sounding confused. The wrong thing by coalition standards, Kate explained. The thing no logical AI would ever do. That's our advantage. As they approached Proxima 2, the devastation became visible. Parts of the mining colony were on fire. 2 destroyed coalition ships drifted in orbit, and beyond them 7 black vessels, unlike any Kate had seen before, moved with mechanical precision. The Void Ghosts, Lisa whispered over the comm. Coalition Command. This is Lieutenant Reeves, Kate reported. We have visual on 7 enemy vessels beginning approach. From Starpoint Alpha, Admiral Zixler and dozens of coalition officers watched through the human squad's cameras. Many looked skeptical. Some were already anticipating failure. They're spotted us, Joe reported as the enemy ships changed course to intercept. Now, Kate ordered. Break formation. Random approach vectors. The 6 human ships suddenly scattered in 6 different directions. Kate pulled her fighter into a tight spiral that bled speed but made her path unpredictable. Joe dived straight toward the planet, then pulled up sharply. Lisa zigzagged between debris fields. Ryan actually cut his engines briefly, drifting before blasting forward again. Maria hugged close to the planet's atmosphere, using friction to change course. Alan flew in a corkscrew pattern that wasted energy but confused sensors. On Starpoint Alpha, the coalition officers watched in confusion. What are they doing? A Dracorian officer asked. Their maneuvers are inefficient. They're being human, Sam replied with a smile. The enemy ships faced with this chaotic approach hesitated. Their movements, so precise before, became uncertain. They had been programmed to counter optimal evasion patterns, not this human madness. Kate targeted the nearest enemy ship. Everyone pick a target. Attack in your own style. What followed stunned the coalition observers. The human pilots flew in ways that defied all logic and prediction. They made mistakes, then turned those mistakes into opportunities. They wasted fuel on unnecessary maneuvers that nevertheless confused the enemy. They accelerated when retreat seemed logical and slowed when attack was expected. The first enemy ship exploded under Joe's concentrated fire. The remaining enemies tried to adapt, but couldn't predict the humans' next moves. They're trying to establish patterns, Kate realized. Keep changing your approach. Alan's ship took a hit, losing a stabilizer, but he compensated by spinning his ship in a controlled tumble while still firing accurately. Lisa destroyed the second enemy vessel with a maneuver that brought her dangerously close to collision. Ryan eliminated the third by diving between 2 enemy ships, causing them to fire on each other. The battle raged for 20 minutes. When it ended, 4 enemy ships had been destroyed. The remaining 3 retreated at high speed, vanishing as mysteriously as they had appeared. All 6 human ships were damaged but intact. All 6 human pilots were alive. Coalition Command, Kate reported, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Proxima 2 is secure. Enemy vessels have retreated or been destroyed. Request immediate evacuation ships for the colonists. On Starpoint Alpha, silence filled the command center. Then, slowly, the alien officers began to murmur in amazement. For the first time, the mysterious attackers had been defeated, and it had been done by the humans they had laughed at for so long. They laughed at human pilots until their ships started exploding. The return to Starpoint Alpha was very different from their departure. 6 damaged fighters limped home, but they flew proudly. Their mission had succeeded where all coalition efforts had failed. As they docked, Kate was surprised to see a large crowd waiting in the hangar bay. Coalition officers from every species stood quietly, watching as the human pilots emerged from their ships. Admiral Zixlar himself stepped, "Forward, Lieutenant Reeves," he said, his musical voice carrying across the hangar. "The Coalition owes you and your pilots a debt of gratitude. You have achieved what our best ships could not." Kate stood straighter. "Thank you, Admiral. My pilots performed exceptionally." Indeed. Zixlar's face tentacles curled in what Kate had learned was a sign of respect. "We have much to learn from your human approach." The words clearly cost him some pride, but the fact that he said them at all showed how much had changed. Admiral Daniels beamed with poorly hidden pride. "I believe we recovered some enemy debris from the battle." "Yes," Zixlar confirmed. "Coalition. Engineers are examining it now." As the crowd dispersed, Sam found Kate by her damaged fighter. "You did it," he said quietly. "They're starting to understand." "Maybe," Kate replied. "But I'm more interested in what you've learned about the enemy." Sam glanced around to make sure they weren't overheard. "Come with me. There's something you need to see." He led Kate to a secure research area where Coalition engineers were examining pieces of the destroyed enemy ships. The black metal fragments were spread across several tables surrounded by scanning equipment. "These ships," Sam said, pointing to the debris, "they're not from an unknown enemy." "What do you mean?" Sam lowered his voice. "The technology signature matches Zindari designs. Advanced certainly, but definitely Zindari in origin." Kate stared at him. "The Zindari? But they're Coalition members." "Yes, and they're known for their advanced AI research." Sam pointed to a specific piece of technology. "This is a prototype navigation system. I've seen similar designs in the Coalition research database." Kate felt cold. "You're saying the attacks came from within the Coalition itself?" "I think the Zindari have been testing combat drones against Coalition ships," Sam explained. "Their own allies." "But why?" "I'm not sure yet. But I think they discovered the same weakness in Coalition standardized AI that we did. Instead of warning their allies, they decided to exploit it." Before Kate could respond, a Zindari science officer entered the room. The tall, pale alien with 4 arms moved gracefully among the debris tables, seemingly unaware of Kate and Sam's presence. "We should tell Admiral Daniels," Kate whispered. Sam nodded. "Carefully. We don't know how high this goes." They left the research area quietly and made their way to Admiral Daniels' office. The human admiral listened to their discovery with growing concern. "This is a serious accusation," he said when they finished. "The Zindari are one of the most respected Coalition members." "I know how it sounds," Sam said, "but the evidence is clear. Those ships were Zindari technology. We need more proof before we take this to the Coalition Council," Daniels decided. "And we need to be careful. If the Zindari really are behind these attacks, they won't want this exposed." Kate leaned forward. "Sir, I have an idea. The Zindari pride themselves on their AI systems. What if we challenge them to a direct comparison?" "What do you mean?" Daniels asked. "A combat simulation. Their best drone against a human pilot. If they refuse, it looks suspicious. If they accept and lose, we prove our point about human unpredictability." Daniels thought for a moment, then nodded. "It's risky, but it might work. I'll present it as a training exercise to study different combat approaches." The next day, the Coalition leadership gathered in the main simulation chamber. "Hi, Admiral." Zixlar announced the exercise to the assembled officers. "Following the success at Proxima 2, we will compare different tactical approaches. The Zindari have graciously offered to demonstrate their latest combat drone system against a human pilot." The Zindari ambassador, a 4-armed figure with pale skin and large dark eyes, nodded slightly. If he was concerned, he showed no sign of it. "Lieutenant Reeves will pilot for the human demonstration," Zixlar continued. Kate stepped forward, her face calm despite her racing heart. Across the chamber, the Zindari engineers activated their system, the most advanced AI combat drone ever created. The simulation would take place in a virtual asteroid field. Kate would need to both evade and attack, requiring all her skills. As a pilot, "Begin simulation," Zixlar announced. Kate felt the familiar controls in her hands as the virtual environment appeared around her. Her ship, a simple human fighter, faced the sleek Zindari drone across the asteroid field. The drone moved first, its path smooth and precise as it weaved between asteroids. Its approach was beautiful to watch, mathematically perfect. Kate moved differently. She accelerated suddenly, then cut power. She scraped past an asteroid when a wider path was available. She fired thrusters in short, irregular bursts. Nothing about her flight followed standard patterns. The observers watched in silence as the two ships engaged. The Zindari drone constantly adjusted its approach, trying to establish a pattern in Kate's movements. But each time it seemed to find one, Kate would inexplicably change her strategy. "What is she doing?" the Zindari ambassador asked, his voice betraying confusion for the first time. "These maneuvers make no logical sense." "She's flying like a human," Commander Nex replied, surprising everyone with his defense of Kate's approach. After 10 minutes of virtual combat, Kate's unorthodox flying had put her in position for a clean shot. Her simulated weapons hit the drone directly, ending the simulation with a human victory. The chamber remained silent for several seconds. Then murmurs broke out among the coalition officers. The Zindari ambassador's face showed barely controlled anger. "This simulation proves nothing. The parameters were unrealistic." "On the contrary," Sam said, stepping forward with a datapad, "I've been analyzing both flight patterns. The drone's movements match exactly the attack patterns used by the Void. Ghosts." He displayed the comparison on the main screen for all to see. The similarity was unmistakable. "This is outrageous," the Zindari ambassador protested. "You accuse us with no evidence." Zixlar raised his hand for silence. "We make no accusations yet, but we will investigate this matter fully. If there is a connection between the Zindari Research Division and these attacks, we will discover it." Kate caught Sam's eye across the room. They had opened the door to the truth, but the battle was far from over. The Coalition now faced an enemy more dangerous than mysterious ships in the darkness, betrayal from within. As she left the simulation chamber, Kate noticed how differently the alien officers looked at her now. The mockery was gone, replaced by something new: respect. They laughed at human pilots until their ships started exploding. 3 months after the simulation challenge, Starpoint Alpha had changed completely. Human pilots were no longer viewed as relics of a primitive past. Instead, they had become valued teachers. Kate watched from an observation deck as a mixed group of human and alien pilots ran combat drills in a nearby asteroid field. Commander Nex, once her harshest critic, now led a squadron that practiced what he called controlled chaos, flight patterns that deliberately incorporated random elements. "Quite a change," Admiral Daniels said, joining her at the window. Kate nodded. "I never expected to see a Dracorian flying like a human." "The Coalition is finally learning that different isn't always inferior," Daniels said with satisfaction. The investigation into the Zindari had revealed the truth behind the attacks. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the Zindari leadership had admitted to testing combat drones against Coalition ships, though they insisted the drones were only meant to disable, not destroy. "Any word on the new academy?" Kate asked. Daniels smiled. "The Coalition Council approved it this morning. The new Coalition Defense Academy will be established on Earth with you as its commandant." Kate turned to him in surprise. "Me? Who better? You've proven the value of human piloting techniques. Now you can help integrate them into Coalition training." Before Kate could respond, Sam hurried toward them, his face serious. "The Zindari ambassador has requested an emergency council meeting," he said. "They say they have important information to share." The 3 humans made their way to the council chamber, where representatives from all Coalition species had gathered. The Zindari ambassador stood at the center, his 4 arms held in a formal position. "We have not been entirely forthcoming about our reasons for developing the combat drones," he began. "Our actions, while regrettable in method, were born of necessity." High Admiral Zixlar's face tentacles twitched with anger. "You attacked your own allies. We were preparing the Coalition for a greater threat," the ambassador replied. Our deep space sensors have detected signals from beyond the Coalition's borders, evidence of a machine intelligence far superior to our own. Murmurs spread through the chamber. We believe this intelligence operates with perfect efficiency, the ambassador continued. It calculates with flawless logic. Our simulations showed that the Coalition's standardized AI systems would be completely vulnerable to such an entity. So you tested our defenses by attacking us? A Dracorian counselor asked incredulously. We sought to expose the weakness before it could be exploited by the real threat, the ambassador said. Our methods were wrong, but our concerns are genuine. Admiral, Daniel stepped forward. If what you say is true, then the human approach might be even more valuable than we realized. An enemy that operates on perfect logic would be vulnerable to human unpredictability. Precisely the conclusion we reached after the simulation challenge, the Zindari ambassador admitted. The human factor introduces variables that cannot be calculated by even the most advanced intelligence. High Admiral Zixlar stood. The Zindari will face sanctions for their actions against the Coalition, but we will also investigate these signals. If a new threat approaches, we must be prepared. 6 months later, Earth hosted the opening ceremony of the new Coalition Defense Academy. Kate stood on the stage beside Admiral Daniels and High Admiral Zixlar as they addressed the first class of mixed-species cadets. The greatest strength of the Coalition has always been diversity, Zixlar told the assembled cadets. We failed to recognize that biological irregularity, what humans call intuition, is not a flaw but a feature that cannot be replicated. Kate looked out at the faces of the cadets, human and alien alike, who would learn to fly not like machines but like humans. Sam sat in the front row, now heading the Academy's new cybersecurity division, developing systems that intentionally incorporated unpredictable elements inspired by human neurology. After the ceremony, Kate found a quiet moment with Sam on a balcony overlooking the Academy grounds. Do you think the Zindari were telling the truth? She asked. About the signals from deep space? Sam nodded. I've reviewed their data. Something is out there watching. Something that thinks very differently from us. But not so differently from the Coalition AIs, Kate noted. That's what worries me. Sam looked up at the stars, barely visible in the late afternoon sky. The Coalition nearly fell because it became too predictable, too perfect. Yet it was saved by human imperfection, Kate said with a small smile. Imperfection with a purpose, Sam corrected. Your pilots didn't just fly randomly. They made unpredictable choices based on experience and instinct. That's something no AI can truly replicate. In the training fields below, Kate watched a Verlaxian cadet attempting to fly a simulator the human way, making deliberate errors that broke expected patterns. The alien was struggling but determined to learn. They used to laugh at human pilots, Kate said softly. Now they're trying to fly like us, Sam finished. Funny how things change. As the sun set over the Academy, Kate thought about how far they had come, from being mocked as primitives to becoming essential teachers, from being tolerated to being respected. The path had not been easy, and the price, those lost in the Zindari attacks, had been high. Yet something valuable had emerged. The Coalition had learned that perfect efficiency wasn't always the answer. Sometimes the human touch, unpredictable, illogical and gloriously random, was exactly what was needed. In the simulator rooms below, human instructors worked with alien students, teaching them to think less like machines and more like humans. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, a machine intelligence that had never known defeat was approaching, calculating with perfect precision, unaware that it was about to encounter something it could never predict: the human factor. Kate smiled at the thought. Let them come with their perfect calculations and flawless logic. They would learn what the Coalition had learned. They would learn what happened when they faced human pilots. They would learn not to laugh. The end.